Live from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world of sports. From college football to NASCAR, we've got you covered. And don't forget to stick around for the world-famous Bety Yor Nuts, where we will give you your best bets to make the most money. Now sit back, grab your favorite drink of choice, and join Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, Brandon Chain, and Tom Sloan. It's showtime. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Reckless Speculation Podcast. I am your host tonight, Tom. And if you didn't know, we had a pretty good men's and women's Final Four this past weekend. So we're going to hit on that real quick, talk about UConn, talk about South Carolina, and also talk about the future of Kentucky basketball now that Calipari is heading over to Arkansas. So a little bit of a shocker there for some people. And if you look over my shoulder there, it's Masters time. Oh, this right here. This weekend is coming up. Starting tomorrow night, we're broadcasting on Wednesday, April 10th. So tomorrow night starts the Masters, and we have our resident golf guru, Mr. Brandon Chain. It's going to be the Brandon Chain hour for the most part of the Tonight Show. We're looking forward to that. So without further ado, we'll bring in the crew. We'll start with Robbie, who pre-show, we were talking about our trip coming up next week to Talladega. What is up, my friend?
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I can't wait to introduce you to NASCAR, even though this is going to be the second race I've ever been to. It's a great time. So I'm looking forward to having you down in the dirty South, and we'll have a good time.
It might get real dirty down in the South. Looking forward to that. And Robbie's going to be talking most of the college basketball because that's his wheelhouse. So
yeah, did I mention that it was bullshit that Tennessee lost to Purdue yet?
Well, with that being said, we're going to bring on our golf guy here, Mr. Brandon Chain, who, ironically enough, I don't know if you can tell by the rosy red cheeks, just got off the golf course. So what's up? What's up, B?
I did. We do so every major here at the club, we do a par 3 Wednesday event where you get in, you play 9 holes. They set up the course randomly, kind of like a superintendent's revenge kind of par 3. So some holes are 50 yards, some are 140, and they're behind the hole, like playing from other holes back into a green. So it's pretty creative. It's fun. Always a fun time. Just kind of gets the excitement going for the majors. But Masters is always the first one and the best one.
Yeah, it's definitely the tip of the iceberg, that's for sure. And folks, if you noticed, he said in the club, that's what we're dealing with here at the Reckless Speculation Podcast. But before we get this thing going, I just want to tell everyone, follow, subscribe on all the socials. It helps us out, gets us a higher reach, gets that message out there. If you like what you see, go and subscribe. And if you like what you see as well, have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll read them on air. So, all right.
Apple Podcast is the green one.
That is called Spotify.
That's Spotify.
That is Spotify, Robbie. And the one to the left, Apple Podcast. So.
Yeah, the microphone looking one's Apple.
Yeah, we're
next week.
50-50 shot. That's a good try.
See, you make a comment.
It's like you're gambling.
Yes.
JP,
whenever you got a 50-50 shot, it's the wrong side.
Yes.
Wrong
side. I do need to. It's getting a little mountain managed, but I'm getting ready for Alabama next week. So, anyways.
Oh, you'll fit right in there. Grow it longer.
I probably got to pull some teeth out of my head, but anyways. Starting with the NCAA championship games last week, obviously UConn goes back-to-back. South Carolina goes undefeated on the women's side. Not really many surprises when it comes to that. The surprise factor, I think we can all agree on, or maybe disagree on, is the women's championship game outdrew the men's in ratings, 18.9 million to 14.8. you're looking at 4 million more. Obviously, is it the Caitlin Clark factor? Probably. I think the consensus is people really wanted to see her go out on top. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. South Carolina and Dawn Staley, what a powerhouse. And they proved that 38-0, I think they finished the season. They'll go down as one of the best teams in women's college basketball. I guess I'll start with you. I guess I'll ask you both this question. Is it time we start looking at college basketball as a whole and not necessarily men's and women's? And I ask that because you saw talent displayed in the women's game. And I think we saw that we're not used to seeing in previous seasons, previous championship games. So, has the playing field somewhat been leveled out? I'll start with you, Robbie.
I think the names have been leveled as far as you have less transfers in the women's game. You have more consistency. You have more essentially hype. It's almost like kind of what the NBA does against the NFL, right? Like the NFL's teams where the NBA is players, and the women have seemed to catch on to that. Let's hype the players where the men are hyping the teams. And in a tournament, when you have a lose and you're gone, hey, Kentucky gets bounced early, Kansas gets bounced early. You know, that will kill ratings. I saw a clip of, Harold commented 3 p.m. on Sunday versus 9 p.m. on Monday. Yeah, that's a factor, but it's always been that way. And the men have always rated higher. And so it's not like all of a sudden people were like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. In fact, while like the women had golf to go against, they had NASCAR to go against, the men had nothing to go against, maybe some baseball games early in the season. So, I mean, I am against the late Monday night starts. But look, these television execs aren't dummies. Like they look at all of these statistics. They look when you're getting the most eyeballs, whether the East Coast stays up for the entire game or not. That doesn't really matter. They're looking at average viewership at the peak and what the average is. And that's what they're going for to sell ads. But as far as should we start looking at them as a whole, yes. I mean, look, if you're the NFL, and of course you got to compare it to the NFL because they know they're the best at this. Could you imagine them pitting the AFC championship game versus the NFC championship game? No, they would be like, we got 32 million eyeballs on this tournament this weekend. And that's what you sell, not one against the other. You sell, and that's what the NCAA should start selling is this is basketball. This is college basketball. And these are the numbers we draw.
So I guess, Brandon, I'll ask you this question. Seeing that the ratings were what they were, and James is absolutely right. They started at 3:00 on a Sunday where people are more available, we'll say, to watch games. But seeing that the ratings where they were, do you ever see a scenario?
Was that Easter Sunday though?
It was Easter Sunday too. Yeah. So, do you ever see a scenario where maybe the NCAA says, "Hey, let's do the women's game early, and then maybe follow up with the men's game, possibly the same day," or do you see them maybe moving it more to a prime time start? And because I think we can all agree, there's a lot of hype now behind women's college basketball, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime too soon. So I think maybe the NCAA would look to put this game maybe in a prime time spot.
Yeah, so I think you're halfway there on that analysis. I think they definitely need to be on separate days, in my opinion. Okay. But I think the women's need to be moved up a little bit, especially on an Easter Sunday or something like that. It needs to be a little bit more time to go out, do your day, blah, 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 Sunday, come home, and then you've got, a 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. start, something in that nature. And the same with the men's. I think it needs to be drawn back just a little bit. But Robbie hit it on the head. the women are really promoting, the individual players versus, men have always been. I mean, you've had some flashes of players and stuff, but it's been more program dominance. It's like I could name more women players than I could men. I'm a novice college basketball fan. I only usually watch during March Madness, so I have no idea. But all I know is the big names like Kentucky, UConn, blah, 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 whatever. But then it's like everyone knows Caitlin Clark, right? And, and she did well. And I man, just watching that, and then the respect I had for Staley and just her after press conference. Man, she's just such a world class coach, and I can see why those players play the way they do for her, because she is fantastic. So, but there's a lot to be said about that, and more eyeballs on it now, and I'm going to start paying more attention, to these programs and watching basketball. And to be honest, the guys are fun or whatever. It's not quite NBA, but they're damn close.
Yeah.
But the girls, I mean, they put on some shows, man.
They were fighting.
They were fighting. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was.
I tell you what, I watched the entire championship of the girls. I fell asleep in the third quarter of the men's. So
me too.
There you go.
Robbie, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, well, yeah, a couple things. This isn't my idea, but I don't know. I heard it from somebody else who it wasn't their idea either. And I'm not even sure they could do this, but if you're ESPN, you have the rights to most college women's games and in the women's tournament. Don't you sign Caitlin Clark to a $10 million NIL deal and say, come back another year? And with these ratings, like, you're guaranteed, hey, we'll draw 20 million people in the Final Four. We already have the rights to it. I don't know if they could actually do that with the conflict, but
yeah,
hey, someone behind the scenes could do that. And then the other thing, talk about the carryover to the NBA or WNBA. It was announced today, the Indiana Fever, 36 of their 40 games are already going to be on TV this year.
Wow.
Because they're getting Caitlin. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be every game she plays.
Randall just made a great point there. The women staying and building a name versus, the one and dones. That's the whole problem that you have, right? Like,
And I think it's, and we'll get into this, when we're talking about John Calipari. I think it's one of the reasons why he didn't do as well in Kentucky, because you're really recruiting for one and dones, and you have a university that was trying to kind of go against that. But yeah, I mean, he's right. You can market these girls, and you saw it. You saw Juju Watkins in the, what was it, a Verizon Wireless ad with Joel Embiid and obviously Caitlin Clark. There's a lot of marketability with the girls here. So and you don't see a lot of transfers in the female game. I think it could possibly happen as the popularity grows, but we'll see. But moving on to the men's side, UConn just, I think they teased Purdue for a little bit, and once they figured out how to avoid the blatant offensive foul almost every time with Edey, with his shoulder bumps and whatnot, they took over. Their defense is on the next level, and they're so well coached, and they're very particular at the offensive end. They run their plays with elite precision. It's just, that's a throwback kind of a basketball team. So that's 6 championships in 25 years. You mentioned it before, Brandon. You got your Duke, you got your North Carolinas. These are the blue bloods. Robbie, where do you put them as a whole, as a program? UConn, where do they stand at this point as far as upper echelon?
I mean, in our adult life is up there with, if not right now, ahead of everyone. I know Duke has the cachet, if you will.
Yeah.
North Carolina. I mean, Kentucky's won I guess
2012.
one or two championships in that year, in that same time frame. UConn's won it 3 times, 3 different coaches. That's just a program that, I mean, that's the kind of the LSU of college basketball, right? Like 3 championships, 3 coaches. Like you put coaches there, they win. Which blows my mind. I don't know if y'all have ever been to Storrs, Connecticut. There's nothing there.
Well, it's one of those like when you think basketball, you think UConn, like men and women, right? Like same thing with Duke. Like just those teams, there's certain things like Alabama, you think football, right? You don't think basketball. Just there's stigmas that come with
Alabama and Clemson. You think football, not Elite Eight.
Clemson's underwater polo or something.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'd put UConn up against anybody. As far as the basketball capital of the country, men's and women's, like
it's got to be.
I mean,
got to be.
In the last 25 years, that's 11 for the women, 6 for the men. I'm no math major, but that's 17 championships in 25 years. Great stat. In the last 25 years, UConn has missed 36% of the tournaments in 25 years. In that same time period, they've won 24% of them. That's
yeah. But look at you going deep in the.
Raj is texting me all of these.
I was gonna say he's got to have a play-by-play going on here.
And of course,
I got the ear. I got Raj in my ear.
If you guys haven't realized, Raj was not able to join us tonight. Something about
he's not late. He's just not coming to
something about he had single dad duties, so he had to wake up early in the morning. Like I think we all have to, but anyways, we won't get in there. But moving on to the other kind of big news that broke this week, and some people are surprised, some aren't. John Calipari leaving Kentucky after 15 years, going to Arkansas. Turns out one of the biggest donors in Arkansas is his best friend. He's a billionaire. So it kind of makes sense. Robbie, are you surprised with this move? And do you think maybe his name notoriety will do something at Arkansas?
Am I surprised? A little, only because if he got fired, he was owed $33 million not to coach. And I don't care how rich you are, $33 million not to do something is a lot of money. But that fan base they are loyal, they are loud, they will travel, but they are also the most entitled people that you will meet. When we were up there for the Kentucky-Tennessee game in February, you would have thought Kentucky was 2-15. They were just dogging Calipari before the game, and they showed up and and after the game, they were ready to run him out of town there. So I just think that wears on you, and I think what he said in his press release was just like, look, this is a dream job. It's a great job, one of the best in the country, best in sports, but it wears on you, and at some point they need a different voice. Cal kind of reminds me a little bit of Larry Brown. Great coach. He can come in, win, but he wears on people, wears on the administration, wears on everyone, and just has to leave.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what Cal reminds me of.
Larry Brown, he won the title here in 2004 at the Pistons.
Yeah.
And he made Chauncey Billups, now an NBA Hall of Famer. But yes, I mean he'll run you into the ground if that's what it takes to get success out of you. But and you're right. You're constantly battling. You hear it with Tennessee Vol fans.
Yeah.
They want to run your coach out of there, and I just think that's the negative side of fandom. And I see it here. I've talked about it endless with the Lions fans. Just they'll win 6 in a row, then they'll lose a game. Oh, they got to get rid of Dan Campbell. Oh, they got to blow it up. It's just like people are so quick to jump off the ship, and it's crazy, and it's on a whole different level at Kentucky.
Yeah, yeah, and well, Twitter and Facebook, all the social media has made the silent minority the vocal majority, is what it seems like now.
100%.
Yeah, but to answer your second question, yes, Cal will win at Arkansas. Will he win it all? I don't know, but he got. I mean, essentially, he's going to do what he did at Memphis. It's the same recruiting ground. You're in the SEC. He knows that area. He took Memphis to a championship game, lost to Kansas on a 3-pointer at the buzzer. He's got the potential to do it. The SEC's loaded. It's not going to get any easier with Texas, Oklahoma coming in, but Cal will win. He wins everywhere.
Yeah. Now, staying in Lexington, this job is going to be hot, and there has been lots of names. Billy Donovan, Jay Wright. They talked to him Monday night about is he possibly looking to jump into the coaching ranks again, and he pretty much said he has no desire. I think that fan base is the reason why some coaches probably would say no. We talked about Dan Hurley back to back, and whoever goes to Lexington, they're going to have a Brinks truck coming with them. Who do you see as the next head coach at Kentucky? And is there a possibility that they go and poach a coach from another program?
So Billy Donovan's going to say no. Jay Wright's going to say no. Dan Hurley's going to say no. Nate Oates has already said no.
Yeah.
Drew at Baylor is an interesting candidate. I think he would be a home run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about but from whenever he flirted with the Louisville job, and he is supposedly a huge Christian, which obviously makes sense. He loves Waco. His family loves Waco. So he really was kind of turned off by the drinking culture in Kentucky, the bourbon culture. So this was just what I've read. And then to further that, his wife, I guess, is allegedly an introvert and just really doesn't like the whole, obsessive fan group. So there's no worse place to be than Lexington. And so I think they're comfortable in Waco. They've got what they want. There's no shortage of money in Waco. But yes, you're right. People in Kentucky can back up the Brinks truck. They just saved $33 million by Cal taking another job. The interesting one to me would be Bruce Pearl. Now, Pearl would take it, I think, in a heartbeat.
He's kind of slimy like that. He would have no problem going to a different program.
But the thing about it, Pearl likes to be loved. So I don't know if it's a great fit. So Pearl likes to be loved. These fans will love you until they hate you. It's not like unconditional. I mean, you have some Tennessee fans who still love Pearl. Pearl got fired for a really stupid thing to do and set our program back 10 years, and people still love him. I mean, it's like Tressel getting, tattooed, getting lying about players getting tattoos at Ohio State. Just don't lie and move on. It's a stupid thing to do and set our program back. Ohio State didn't get set back that much because there's no competition in the Big Ten. But
wait a minute. I think I have something to say about that. 15-0 with the Natty.
No, I kid. Can't ever pass up a shot to take the Big Ten.
Wow.
But so if it's not Pearl, because I could see Kentucky not winning Pearl, then I don't know. Is it the Clemson coach who just went to the Elite Eight? Is it Creighton coach who went to Sweet 16? Does he leave? I don't. Maybe Shaka Smart, but I'm not sure you leave Marquette. I'm not sure in this day and age where all these schools have money, you leave a $5 million job for a $7 million pressure cooker if you don't win the Final Four, they want you fired every single year.
Oh yeah,
Right.
especially
Yeah.
when you lose in the first round
Big shoes
Yeah.
to fill.
to Oakland University. So
Well, and they're coming in year one to a completely empty roster because how Cal recruits. Like they're all going to Arkansas or somewhere else. Like, they're not coming to Kentucky
no,
now.
and I
Mhm.
did hear their number one recruit rumored
Yeah.
he's going to jump back
Transfer.
in the he's going to start his recruitment all over again. It's just
Yeah.
if you go back and watch the post game interview Calipari did after he lost to Oakland, it was very somber, and it was almost like it was his farewell interview as the head coach of Kentucky. He was somewhat emotional because I feel like he thought he had a team that he could have done some damage with. So I guess Brandon, I'll ask you: do you think there was some grumblings behind the scenes, or maybe an offer said, "Hey, you can resign, or we're going to fire you," or what do you think really went down in that scenario?
Yeah, I think it was a respectful, like, all right, talk to your agent, see what jobs are available. Let's make a mutual part here. Let's not have to fire you and embarrass, that versus also taking a big hit for them. So I think it was a mutual decision there, respect out of both parties for the program of Kentucky. And that's what we saw, and that's why there was so many behind the scenes. The writing was on the wall. I mean, his last 4 years in the tournament have been atrocious per Kentucky standards. So that's just what happens. It's like Belichick and the Patriots, right? Like it was.
Yeah,
It's a soft landing kind of. We got to part ways,
you don't
and
want
there's always
to
time for that, right? Yeah, right. There eventually, like Robbie said, sometimes you need a new voice. Sometimes change for the sake of change is good, just for everyone. Get through it. Titans are going through it this year with a whole new regime. So it's just this is the inevitable of this life and this in sports. I mean, and you have all these silent warriors that will attack you on social media and you blow stuff up, blah blah blah. But anyway, I think it's best for both parties. Calipari's a hell of a coach. We all know that.
Yeah.
He'll do fine in Arkansas.
Yeah, real quick, just to piggyback on that point, Brand, you're exactly right. They probably had a backdoor meeting, and the Kentucky people said, "Are you going to coach again?" And he said, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, okay, because you have a duty to mitigate your damages. If we fire you, yeah, we owe you 33. You have to mitigate it. If you get this job, it's going to offset. Do we really want lawyers fighting this out for the next 6 months? Like, but let's just take this job."
Well,
Maybe
and
we'll
it's
give you some money behind the scenes, and
it's respect to the program too, right? Like
yeah.
They're respecting him as a coach for 15 years, and he's respecting them as well to not take a big hit. So it's inevitable. It all good things come to an end.
Yeah, and he only won one national championship in 15 years, so I think the fan base is probably ready to move on. But Robbie, as you fill your glass of red wine, apparently it's Wine Wednesday. I'm not following suit. I'm going
Wine
with
Wednesday.
Yingling.
Yeah.
I missed the message on that. Actually, my heartburn would say, "Don't mess with the wine." But anyways,
White
I'm gonna
wine.
throw a name out here, Robbie, real quick before we get into the Brandon Chain Power Hour. Rick Pitino.
If I would make the call, and I would at least explore it if I was Kentucky. I think there are too many power brokers though that will never forgive him for taking the Louisville job. Like you guys know, Michigan, Ohio State, Duke, North Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky is right up there. They hate each other, and so I don't think that the powers that be, they'd rather give up some racehorses than see Pitino back at Kentucky.
Wasn't this the motorcycle incident guy?
Oh, that's Bobby.
No, that's Bobby Petrino. This is the
Petrino,
guy.
Patino, tomato.
Oh yeah.
Vegetable, vegetables.
Yeah. One ended with an O, and the other one named Pitino. So But anyways,
Patino was the strippers and escorts and stuff at Louisville.
Might as well
there's
been on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Randall's
Randall, we hope you are feeling better.
Yes. Randall just had shoulder surgery, and hopefully he's back.
Yes, I agree, Randall.
His thumbs are working well, though.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Actually, this is the best he's ever spelled.
I know. I was going to say, definitely talk to text, I think, on this one. So anyways, like I mentioned, it's Masters Week. We have a particular member on this crew that lives for the sport of golf. He lives on a golf course, ladies and gentlemen. He plays golf probably 15 times a week. I could be exaggerating enough, but it is his passion. And this is definitely the part of the year, the time of year that, with the exception of maybe Michigan, Ohio State week, this is what he lives for. The Masters, in the tradition unlike any other, as the story goes. Brandon, for those of us that don't really follow golf a whole lot, I'll watch, no question about it. I think it's the big majors is when most kind of mid-range fans will watch. Talk about the Masters. What does it mean? And maybe some of the more iconic holes that are on this course that we're going to see throughout this weekend.
Where to begin? So everyone, like March Madness or, trying to win a pennant or the MLB World Series. This is the Super Bowl, essentially, in the first of the four majors to come. Now, all four are considered, obviously, the majors. They're highly watched, and those are the tournaments that everyone wants to win. But the Masters is the king of all this. So it's great that it's first out this time of year. Although during COVID, I think we had it, and it ended up being in the fall, which was crazy. But
November.
Yeah, in November, which, completely different course, by the way, completely different. But yes, the Masters is the Super Bowl of golf, in my opinion, and many others. And let's talk about some of the holes here. Three of the most famous holes that are the most recognizable in golf across any club or any golf advocate, I guess. So Amen Corner. Amen Corner, it is one of the toughest stretch of three holes that you will face. All have water to include. Let's start off with number 11. And each hole at the Masters has its own name, which is, crazy. But it's really cool. There's so much history there. So White Dogwood is number 11. It's 520-yard par 4. If you've ever played golf, 520 yards is a long effing way, especially on a par 4.
I got 20 shots.
Most par 5s are 490 to 520 for a novice golfer like myself. Anyway, it's got a false front on the left. So, and even Tiger talks about this. Pin location is key here, and then ball position. So you're coming off the tee. It's a little bit of right to left shape. So you want to hit it up on the hill, kind of on the right side center fairway. Obviously, that's the ideal spot. Now there's a false front on this green here, and there's water all the way to the left. So what a false front is. So it looks like the green is level, but it's got this kind of upward hill in the front of it. So if you land on that and everything is false front and funnels straight towards the water. So if there's a front left pin, you can't go at it. This is where skill and discipline really commence in this whole entire amen corner. Like there's been tournaments won and lost many times in this 3 stretch of holes. So that's white dogwood. It's very tough with that false front on there, and water to the left. Obviously, there's been a lot of great shots hit the front of the green. They look great, and then they end up rolling all the way down the water. Number 12 is probably the most iconic of the 3. That's where Tiger essentially won the Master. He kind of on 16 too, but when Molinari hit it into the water on 12, he had a 2-shot lead in 19. That's kind of what solidified Tiger's stretch there. But it's one of the toughest par 3s in golf. There's only been 3 aces in the history of this hole, like 3 hole-in-ones. That's it, which is insane. As many times as it's been played. It's called Golden Bell. It's shaped. It's off. It's got a creek in front of it, and you definitely don't want to be short because you're going to roll back. It also has a little front on it. The green is not facing the tee. It's left to right, so it's protected by bunkers in the back, water in the front. You really got to be on here. Anyway, won't bore you anymore with that. And then Azalea is the par 5, number 13. This one's crazy. Big dog leg left. If you hit a great tee shot, you get yourself into position to go for it in 2, but it's a risk reward kind of hole. It is. Rays Creek runs right in the front with an elevated green. It's protected by 4 bunkers in the back. Another really tricky shot, risk reward. We've seen Tiger make both sides of that through his stretch on the Masters. So it is, it's incredible. And then obviously number 18 at the Masters is called the Holly. Tight little shoot down the fairway. It's a dogleg left as well. No, dogleg right, actually. So you got to hit it just through the chute, and you want to cut the ball just a little bit, and it's uphill all the way. Great finishing hole. If you hit a great tee shot there, you've got a really good shot at birdie. So it's an amazing tournament. And this year's Masters is probably going to be one of the closest races with amount of people. Like last year was close because Rahm and Koepka were fighting, but I think we're going to have 4 or 5 guys within a couple shots that can really win this thing.
We'll talk about these players. Oh, go ahead, Robbie. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, like, to add on to what Brandon's saying, I've always thought of the Masters, like, so you have the U.S. Open, which is incredibly hard. You have the British Open where you're dealing with weather, different courses, the PGA rotates. The Masters, always the same course. I always think of it kind of as billiards meeting golf. It is, you have to set up your shot for the next one because you need to know where you're going and think, like, really play the hole from the start to the finish.
Well, that's how golf is, Robbie.
Well, no, but
this exploits that for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
it separates the men from the boys.
And like
it does.
The PGA, you can get into some trouble, get out.
From hole to hole, even. No, you bring up, I'm joking around with you. You bring up a great point. Because this is where I was talking about discipline versus your skill set, right? Like you're in the moment, you're heated, adrenaline's rushing, whatever, and you know you have the skill to attack that pin or whatever. If you don't have the experience and discipline to attack a zone of the green versus the pin and know the undulation and the slope and control your misses, that's where the adrenaline and the separation really starts happening, especially on 8, on the last 9 holes on Sunday, right? Like it changes everything. Those who can stay disciplined throughout the tournament really tend to prevail.
So I was saying a minute ago, you said there could be 4 or 5 golfers that really could be competing. Talk about some of those guys. And last year, going into the final round, Koepka was rolling. You would have thought that he was going to come away with the title, get that green jacket, and he ran into a buzzsaw named John Rahm. Do you think this could be the year that he prevails and plays 4 solid rounds of golf?
Absolutely. He's one of my top 5 I was talking about. I think he ran into more of a slow play in Patrick Cantlay than the buzzsaw John Rahm. I think it kind of broke his rhythm, and he was vocal about it, but respectful. It happens. You get that in golf, and I don't think he was necessarily behind pace, Cantlay, but it definitely played a little slower and kind of frustrated Koepka when he was rolling. And then Rahm is just, you just can't phase that guy. Him and Scheffler are two, remind me of Tiger, the closest comparison I can think of, just in their demeanor in a golf round, and they're nonchalant, like don't get too upset, no high emotions, up or down, and they golf their ball. And if they're putting well, either one of them, watch out. But yeah, Koepka, he's always a factor. He shows up in majors. He choked it away last year. He's going to have some redemption to prove here. So I definitely have him in the top 5. Scotty.
Is he healthy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's doing good. Scotty is on a roll, which is, it's not unusual. If you look at his last 3 years, he won in 2020. But the last 3 years, his previous 5 starts before the Masters, that's 15 rounds. He's won 7 or 15 tournaments. He's won 7 of those 15 tournaments. So he's pretty known for starting out hot and coming into the Masters. And this is no different. When he's putting well, he's the best ball striker on tour, in both tours, in my opinion, right now. And when he's putting well, I mean, just, try and contend for second at that point. Like, there's no one since Tiger that's been these kind of odds coming into a Masters. I think there was one time that Tiger was maybe minus 200 to win the whole tournament before it started, which is insane.
You don't see that.
No, but plus 450 to win the Masters. I mean, that's insane. So yes, you have to account for him. And then Rory's trying to hit the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Like, this has been a haunting thing for him. And he had a chance. God, what was it? 2014 maybe, or 13. Anyway, I can't remember the year. But he choked it away. He was leading, choked it away. But he always plays well there. So I look for him to be somewhat in contention if he can get out of his own head. And another one I've got who needs to win a major and who always plays well here is Xander Schauffele. Xander is due, and he plays well here. I really think he can pull it through. But I'll get to some of the other picks that I like when we get to Bet Your Nuts.
Robbie, I'll kind of breaking away from Masters per se here real quick. Netflix has really been influential with, I think, promoting not only NASCAR, let's face it, with the NASCAR documentary series that they had this year. After, I think it was the first episode, I immediately got on text with you. I'm like, are you going to Talladega? And you're like, yes, sir. I said, I'm going. So it's influenced me in that regard. Now, they just dropped season 2 a full swing. And there's a lot of players, and it seems like the PGA has been marketing a lot of these younger players. And let's face it, golf it's not your grandpa's golf players anymore. They're flashy. They they go out,
They're friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
they focus on their bodies, so it's they're selling themselves per se. Do you think there's a lot more eyeballs on these major sporting event, this Masters event, and maybe golf in general, since it's kind of been introduced to different people through the Netflix format?
Well, yeah, to answer your question, the short answer is yes. I think, and there's a theme that we have seen over the last 6 months, and it is females getting involved in sports. So, my wife always watches Sunday at the Masters, always, because it's such an emotional, it's so pretty, it's just an event. But I'm interested to see this year if she's more involved because now she knows the wives of these players, the
Yeah,
girlfriends,
yeah,
and the backdrop. Like you're gonna start when they show the side shows of the girlfriend. Oh, I remember her. Like the kids are there. They
mhm,
get to see. So it is opening up the people, and so it's expanding the sport. And I think all of this is a good thing for all of these sports. And then so the key is, uh, can they keep this is going to do great ratings. There's really nothing else on this weekend, and it's the Masters, regardless of what else is on. Um, but can they keep it rolling after this
mm,
and keep the momentum going? But I do think, yeah, Netflix is a tremendous this show. Like, uh, my wife was begging me to watch the second season, and this is a topic for a different day. I am now. I've always thrown the Ryder Cup off to the side. Now I'm like, I can't wait for the next Ryder Cup. How pumped up they are for that.
yeah,
Oh my God. It's incredible. And I think social media has a lot to do with it because a lot of these wives are on social media and they're doing
influencers.
yeah, well, and like Tony Finau's wife, for
Oh
instance,
yeah,
she gets on, she's like showing his
outfits.
outfits for the
Yeah,
whole master, like she's doing all this, and that I mean that just gets exposure. And then they have family day at the Masters where the kids and the family come out and do all that. Like there's it's so family oriented, especially around this particular event. But the women, exactly right, so much more involved. But you're also in an era now where you're selling personalities and these Netflix shows are exploiting that. Like they're picking out the personalities. Now they'll show the whole golf thing, but they pick the personalities and they follow them and that's what's selling. And that people are like, oh, these are just normal dudes, like, struggling to make it on the PGA or, doing whatever. And they got real life problems too,
yeah,
just like and then everyone relates to that. And then when you turn it on and you watch a major, you're rooting for those guys as underdogs or,
yeah, because
whoever.
you see a different side of them. It's almost
Absolutely.
you see a human side
Yeah.
of these people that you're only used to seeing on the golf course.
And especially with golf, it's at least I kind of to a little bit of damage control, like to kind of swing the pendulum from Tiger as this playboy private jet going around the world to now, oh, look at all these guys that are family men and look at their kids and look at how wholesome they are. Just kind of welcoming people back in their lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good point.
back to the tournament itself. Um, Obviously, live. It's no secret. There's a supposed merger. A lot of the big names have switched sides. This is one of 4 events that they play together. Um, and clearly this is going to be geared for you, Brandon. Does this help or hurt a potential merger? And do you think that a merger is needed? And then on top of that, I'll also mention John Rahm has been quoted, as far as I know, saying that he wishes Live was 72 rounds or 72 hole tournament. Do you
Mm.
think that could possibly change?
I think so. Um, Liv was new as first, you know, entity to challenge the PGA essentially. And this is all so young and all so new. Obviously, um, there's going to be a merger. It's just a matter of when. And I think the writing's on the wall now for a lot of these guys, especially people that supposedly had opportunity and didn't go, and people that are still getting opportunities and leaving, like John Brown. It's only going to expand the game, in my opinion. I mean, there's no fighting them at this point. This is more media driven now than player and tour driven. Like, they already understand that it's coming to head, and a lot of things are going to change once they work that out. Like, the entire Live Tour is going to change. PGA Tour could change. But it's, all these dudes are friends. And right now, the line was drawn between people that, were money driven versus
because it's only
like history driven, I guess.
3 days. A live tournament's only 3 days, correct?
Yeah, 3 days.
And I know that was enticing for a lot of players.
And they only play like 8 or 10 tournaments a year or something. I can't remember what it is, something like that. Not very many.
Yeah, Live is the Roman numeral for 54 holes of golf.
54 holes, right?
Yeah.
There you have
I'm
it.
saying, as far as the tournament,
you learn something every week here on Reckless.
Yeah. So when Rob's like, we need to play 72, you got to change the name of the tour.
There's a trivia question there.
Well, there'll be a merger, and that's the whole thing. This was just inevitable. They have too much money, and it's like, if you can't beat them, join them. So I think that's where the PGA is at, and it's also it's good exposure. It's completely different. I haven't been to a Live Tour event yet, but I will be soon, and it's more of a party scene. There's music playing. They're in shorts. They're just relaxed. Everybody's having fun.
Waste management.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Waste Management or Ryder Cup. Robbie, if you want to do a Ryder Cup, I will go to the next one. I'm down. It's one of the funnest tournaments I've ever been to in my entire life. It's amazing.
I'm down.
But yeah, it's like all the guys, everything's fine. It's all media driven on this. They keep trying to create this controversy and divide and story when that is not what's happening at all. All these dudes play rounds together all the time. They hang out with each other. There's no hard feelings, no animosity.
They all live in the same neighborhood.
It's like, it's fine. Everybody's good with it, except the media keeps poking and trying to, create more smoke, and there's none. So let's just drop that.
Nick Saban also has a house in Jupiter for you Alabama fans.
So the biggest name in all of golf, the biggest name in our generation, Mr. Tiger Woods, will be playing in this tournament. And he was quoted as saying, if he plays well, he can win it. And there was rumors that came out. I don't know how much of it's true, that he claimed he was going to remain abstinent leading up to the tournament. He was not going to have sex. That way he prepares properly for this tournament. If things go right for him, does he have a chance? I know it's 5 years removed from him winning the Masters, which was seen as quite an accomplishment. So 5 years later, is it within the realm of possibilities that he could be putting on another green jacket?
If he can walk, yeah. I don't think it's a lack of talent in the game, and his knowledge of this course has nothing to do with that. It's all about, can you walk 72 holes? Mm-hmm. I mean, Augusta on TV does no justice. How undulated that course is. It's 156 feet in elevation. It's crazy. How many hills and side hills, and just walking that for 4 days on a bum ankle now, and
back injuries,
back, and can he make it through that? Now, if he can, to doubt his talent, no. I mean, he's lost maybe 3 or 4 mile an hour on his ball speed. Not a big deal. He's carrying it to 317 instead of 328. Yeah, whatever. He'll be fine. He's got the best knowledge in the field of this course out of anybody other than Phil. But yeah, if he's playing well and he can walk the course, he'll make it if he's not injured. But what kind of recovery has he got to do every day? And if you get a rain delay, if he has to play 27 in a day,
if he gets rain, that means there's going to be
because now you lose your recovery time, and now you got to walk 27. Like
how long has it been since his last tournament?
He withdrew. What was it? Was it the player? No, he didn't even show up to a player. The tournament for the players. Anyway, he withdrew with an ankle injury. But supposedly fine now. But I did hear that the whole celibacy thing was true. Whoever leaked that is probably fired.
Well, he needs to keep his ass out of the Waffle House. So I think if he can do that, he's going to be all right, Robbie.
Yeah. So this brings me back to the point that was poo-pooed on earlier. Could Tiger Woods win a U.S. Open? Absolutely not, because that course overpowers you. The Masters does not overpower these players. It's more of a billiards game. So yes, I agree. If Tiger can walk it, he knows the course. He can be there on Sunday. I don't know if he's got the stamina left, and I agree. The rain delay will kill him, not physically kill him, but it will kill his chances.
If he's got to do 27, that's tough.
Yeah. But he knows the course, and and Phil too. I mean, Phil can still sling it too. I mean, like, they know this course, and
Phil's got a little extra in the tank for these tournaments that he plays with the PGA, because he was one of the first ones to go, and he took a lot of criticism by for going to live for
he
it.
did.
So he
a
gets
lot of people did.
Tournaments.
A lot of people said, well, that was the line in the sand, right? And initially, and it was like all these ramifications. If you leave, you're never coming back to the PGA. You can never do anything. This is Monahan saying the whole time. And he has no idea. Like, he had no idea what this was going to turn into.
Once the majors said they can play, it was game over.
And they control their own destiny, right? Like, they're like,
no,
we want the best players,
we
want the most ratings.
Yeah, the people that took the money won.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Robbie,
the PGA Tour is taking the money too.
Oh, sure, of course they are, because
that's
they get the extra.
If you can't beat them, join them. It's that's it. You can't fight $650 billion. You can't fight that.
No, not at all. Robbie, Scotty Scheffler looks like right now he's the betting favorite at plus 400. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, leading into the Final Four with UConn. Was it UConn versus the field? Are we in a Scheffler versus the field scenario here coming into the Masters?
I never thought we would say this post Tiger, but yes, I mean, I think that is where we're standing right now. But there's so much talent on this field. In this field, like, you look at the next 3 or 4 odds. You got Rory, you got Brooks, you got Rahm, you got Xander. Man, when Brooks is healthy, I have a rule: don't bet against him. So, yeah, I think that's the conversation we should be having, Scotty versus the field. But with this loaded tournament and at this venue, I think I'm going the field, even though as great as Scotty is, he's playing, and Brandon's right. If he's putting well, it's over. But
I think it would be wise to keep an eye on the weather, because I remember last year there was talk on Saturday that it was going to rain, and it was going to rain early. And whoever basically was on the course early, and Brooks was on the course early on Saturday, he got his round in, and then the rains came shortly thereafter. The course got real soggy. I'm not going to use that other word. Starts with an M and ends in oist. But anyways, I think timing and
You're gonna
weather.
have Tiger breaking his vow.
Well, like I said, he's got to stay out of the Waffle House. But anyways, I think you're looking at a scenario where weather and timing, tee times are very important to look at, especially when you're wanting to make a bet. Would you concur with that, Brandon?
100%. I mean, the course can entirely change depending on weather. It's a huge factor. That's why they initially in every tournament they try and rotate morning. Sometimes you catch it on the first half where you play mornings, and then maybe you could play in the afternoon depending on how you finish. But it's a big deal for sure, and obviously we've seen that affect a lot of good players in potential contention.
Was last year's tournament when the tree fell? Was that at the
Yes.
Masters?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. That was insane. That was really
Thankfully nobody was around it, and it was cleaned up in like 32 minutes. Like they cut it up and cleaned it.
PSA: if anyone gets hit by a tree at the Masters, my law firm sponsors this event. Happy to take the case.
And if you haven't realized, this is the Bougie Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's Reckless Bougie Podcast. I'm just a steel guy. I'm just a lowly steel guy. These guys, boy, I'm telling you. But this will be going for both of you guys. You have the names, the hot names, as we've mentioned before. Robbie, I'll start with you. Give me a name of a player that could possibly sneak in and make some noise this weekend.
All right, I'll give you a guy. Local Chattanooga guy, went to the same high school as I did, Harris English. He has struggled here lately. He played well last year. He has won a few. Another Baylor guy, Luke List, had a hole in one on the par 3. Got Steven Yeager also, but I think Harris English is my sleeper.
Brandon.
Galls me to say, but I'm gonna have to say Patrick Reed.
Oh,
so Patrick, he has won this
Masters
tournament,
champion, yeah,
and he has also made every cut he's ever played in at this tournament, and he's finished. I think the last 3 or 4 years he's been in like the top 10 or top 15. So he's always an outlier out there that you just don't really think that he's on the live tour now. Everybody hates him. He's kind of the bad boy of the group, and
even worse than
alleged cheater. Video evidence, alleged cheater. But he plays well here, so I mean he's at plus 8,000 right now, which is pretty damn good value. If you throw $10 on that, maybe catch a lightning in a bottle here.
Max Homa being at plus 7,500. That seems a bit.
He's a little bit of a head case right now.
I tell you, I like my guy Tony Finau. I would love to see him put on that green jacket. Tony's the king of Detroit. He's won the Rocket Mortgage Classic, I believe, twice. He's different. You talked about him earlier before, Robbie. He's a family man, and he brings his kids to these tournaments. I think he is everything that's good about a professional sport.
Their culture is very family oriented like that, which I love. I think we should all take note and do more of that. But watching Full Swing, and if you're not a Tony Finau fan after that, something's wrong with you. He's the nicest, most genuine person, biggest family man.
Yep.
All you can wish is the best for him and his family, because it's just amazing to watch. And like you said, how he just brings them along. And there's a lot of guys like that out there that on the tour that you don't get to see a lot of, but they highlighted him for sure. And we'll see.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's got a kid that's coming up and learning.
He caddies for him all the time. Yeah.
So I like him. I just think he's a good guy. He's a good character guy. So, but
Yep.
I'm telling you, it'll be on here in the speakeasy on all the TVs. It's
Ah,
probably the one tournament I'll be watching tomorrow and Friday. Unfortunately, I'll be in the dungeon all weekend at work, so I won't be able to catch the final round. But yeah, it's exciting, and I'll be following it from afar. I'll be following it through you guys. So, um, with that being said, and I know my wife's on the other side of the wall, probably cringing as I say that, but um, what do we do this weekend? We make some money.
Cha-ching.
It's time for Bet Your Nuts.
So yes, it is that time of the show where, well, you know what? If you take some of our advice and hit the apps, and who knows, maybe you'll win some money. I need to start doing it because obviously I'm falling way back in the ranks. You guys, Robbie buying steel scrap yards and oh my, it's I don't know. I'm gonna have to start door dashing here in a minute, but
It's called a midlife crisis, Tom. Midlife crisis.
okay. Oh man, Robbie, I'm going to start with you. What's your bet your nuts for the week?
All right. So I said earlier, if he's healthy, I bet on him. Brooks Koepka winning the Masters plus 1,000. Lay some money on that. And then, so that's my Masters pick for the show theme. My other bet your nuts is they're in Texas this week. Ryan Blaney plus 1,200. He is going to gear up for Talladega. Blaney's going to take Talladega too, back to back.
Ooh, going with the Cleveland Guardian fan to bring home the next two races. Ooh.
Yes.
I'm going to go next because I know Brandon's got some good numbers that you guys are going to want to definitely take note with. I think Brooks gets it done. I think he avenges last year. I think that left a really bad taste in his mouth. As a matter of fact, it was one of the first times I actually put money on a golf tournament because I felt like this was his time. He's sitting at plus 2,000 on the Bet MGM app. I like those odds. It's another one I'll throw in the mix. How many strokes will the winner win by? I'm going to go 3. That's sitting at plus 650. I think it could come down to the wire. I think it's going to be a hit or miss. It's either going to be a playoff hole or a comfortable win. I think John Rahm was a comfortable win last year. And I'll also go with a NASCAR bet here, leading into Talladega next week, which we'll hit on that. We'll preview that next week's show. I think Larson gets it done. I think Kyle Larson gets it done. He's sitting at 450. I've come to learn that the winners are sitting at the top of the bet predictions lately, and the guys that are taking the poll, they're winning the race.
Science. Yes.
Kyle Larson is a stage killer. He wins stages every week. He's definitely taking advantage of the new format. So he's sitting at plus 425. He's got 2 wins in the last 10, 5 top 10s total. I think he gets it done this week. He was really good last week, and he could have won it. Short tracks are real tough, and you could win or lose with a couple laps, and he didn't pull it out. James Thomas going with the Mets money line. Boy, the Mets have been up and down. The Tigers swept them, and then the Tigers came home and lost 2 or 3 to Oakland. So early in the season, that could be a good bet. Brandon, take
Sacramento. They lost to Sacramento, not Oakland.
Oh yeah, you're right. The Sacramento Keys. Brandon, what you got this week?
All right, so picking a winner is obviously hard in golf and NASCAR, right? Like, you usually shoot for like a top 5 or a top 10 finish, get a little better analysis from that because winning's hard, right? But that being said, I am going to pick a winner, and I think it's going to be Scotty Scheffler.
Mm.
I mean, he's just, when he's putting well, I don't think anybody can beat him. He's got the best ball striking on tour. Now, we're not getting these, research I haven't done on the lift guys, especially Rom going over there. But Rom is going to be a close match there. Again, there's 5 or 6 guys. You can flip a coin and probably one of them's going to win it. So, but I do have one little sneaky play, and it's not bad odds, and that's Hideki Matsuyama. Now, his statistics right now are almost even to where they were prior to him winning the Masters. So he's right there. Same ball striking, tee to green, gain strokes over the field on putting and chipping. He's right there. All his stats match up. So he's at plus 1,800. Sprinkle a little on him. And a couple more long shots. I know I gave you Reed earlier. Wyndham Clark has been playing really well. And he's at plus 3,000. So throw a little bit on him. And Will Zalatoris, his first Masters ever, finished second and a tied second. So another guy that's kind of a long shot at plus 3,500.
Very good. And if you're a betting person out there, I would highly recommend taking these numbers down.
This is where you want to diversify your portfolio a little bit because they're huge numbers. I mean, you can throw $5-10 and still end up in the positives if you spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Good stuff, guys.
Disclaimer, Brandon doesn't know what a $5 or $10 bill is.
Well, I don't know if you do either. Because where are you heading to Sunday? Vegas for a scrap metal convention? This guy, you want to talk about a gambling man. Pardon the pun, since he's going to Vegas, he's going all in on this scrap metal business. And where's the cowboy hat this weekend there, Robbie? Are we going to see it next week?
What's that?
Where's the cowboy hat? You're the Robbie.
It'll be the hey. It's coming to Talladega.
I was gonna say you got to wear that in Talladega. If anywhere you wear it, it's got to be there.
Just so everybody knows, the camera is going to be rolling all weekend long. There will be some good takes going on, so you want to look out for that.
I'm still undecided. I might come still.
Yes, you should.
Oh, reckless speculation on the road from Talladega, and I'm a little worried. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to wear my Michigan gear, and I don't know if you're familiar with the team that retired Nick Saban. That would be my Michigan Wolverines. So I'm sure Roll Tide Nation ain't gonna like me down there, but it is what it is. But don't
worry, they don't like the Vols either.
We're at the part of the show. We're going to close at home. Final words. Robbie, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So we have the Masters this weekend. We have talked about Talladega the weekend after that. There's a lot of, stuff going on. What Tom is going to get to witness when he comes down to hang out with me is really the highlight of the spring. On April 19th, the Tortured Poets department comes out. We have a new Taylor Swift album that's dropping on the 19th. And so all through our camper, we're going to be listening to the new album. And Brandon is like, I'm not coming to Talladega now.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What's that? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I think I got plans.
They just canceled my flight. The yellow school bus in the sky just canceled my flight.
So I'm looking forward to the Taylor concert or the Taylor CD, and that'll take me to Atlanta and back. And but no, I'm looking forward to Tom coming down this weekend, enjoying the Masters, and this is kind of the detox after football, basketball. We get Masters, Talladega, then we roll into baseball, and then comes
2 weeks from tomorrow,
NFL draft.
the NFL draft, and I'll be
All right.
coming right from Ford Field, so I'll be down there in the thick of it. So,
Awesome.
yep. Brandon
That'd be
Chain.
great. Oh man, just looking forward to watching this Masters. I mean, it's a tradition like no other. It really is. So look forward to that, and maybe I'll be in Talladega. We'll see. Gotta work some stuff out, but
If somebody can do it in this earth, it could be you, Brandon. You can pull it off. I might need some more Big Ten representation down in Edmonton.
Man, the last time I went there, it was rough.
It's calmed
I
down.
don't know if I go.
It's calmed down. I plan on bringing a whole bottle of Tylenol with me.
You might need some tranquilizer darts too when you're down
Or an
there.
IV. Shit, are they doing IVs there in the
Sure.
campground?
No.
Yeah, in the infield, there's
Shoot other
everything.
people.
I'm gonna have to do that, man. Oof.
All right. Tom, what do you got?
I tell you what, guys. I look back to where we've been the past couple years, and always we want to give thanks to Randall, QB1, who's kind of brought us all together, and he's kind of created this entity, and we've taken and ran with it, and just seeing what we've accomplished as a unit, and Raj isn't here, who is a huge cog. That guy is an encyclopedia of sports knowledge, and to the likes that you don't get at most podcasts. There's a ton of them out there, but I think we're very unique. We're from all different walks of life. We have different fandoms. We have different opinions. But, man, we get together once a week and we have a great time. And I've seen the evolution of what this show has become. We've had some critiques, and I've tried to build on that. I know you guys knew my feelings of the situation last week. I realized that some things need to get better. We all are just great at what we do, and I'm thankful. And being able to be a part of a show, you guys in Tennessee and Raj, wherever the hell he's at any given moment, just some guys sitting in Metro Detroit, getting to talk and getting to talk sports with you guys. 2 years ago, never met you guys, didn't know you from Adam, and now here we are. We've grown. I'm experiencing something next weekend with you, Robbie, that's I would have never thought in a million years I'd ever do, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. So I'm just thankful for you guys, and I'm really happy to see where this thing goes. And again, I hope people like what they hear, they like what they see. Check in every week. Go follow, subscribe, because it really does help us out. Because the more people that like it, we get a bigger reach, and that really helps us out, because I really do think we have a great message, and sometimes we're right, more often than not, maybe, but we have a great time doing it. So again, this is the Reckless Speculation Podcast. We want to thank everybody for checking in, all the comments tonight. You guys have been great. We appreciate it. Follow, subscribe, all the platforms, even the one at the far right with Robbie is Spotify.
Apple's one with the microphone. Duh.
Yeah, Apple is. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like a guy, doing like the YMCA.
What's the fish hook one, Robbie?
That's TikTok.
Yeah, Robbie's kind of hip to the game. So go give us a like. Go give us a follow on all that. Check out all our old shows on YouTube and Facebook. And man, sky's the limit with this. For Brandon Chain, Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, who's not here, but he's here in spirit. I am Tom Sloan. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, searching Reckless Speculation. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right here next week with another exciting episode of Reckless Speculation.